Okay, this is the XJO. A bit messy because I've had it for a little while, but that's a pitchfork there. Just make out the dark lines there, and that's the first warning, and I've just extended those lines back to catch some pivot points along the back there, just to add some validity to the structure. But anyway, so that's where we're at. There's a HR failure of the pitchfork. Hagopian's rule: with price pivots before it should, it will normally take out the last pivot. And it's actually did that back here, but it's I'm just saying maybe Hagopian wasn't happy with it taking out just a little bit. It's gone, actually done. It's broken out again there. I've actually connected these lows here, these two pivots, and that's created a support line, which it's now actually dipped down below that as well. So that's not looking too fantastic at the moment. What have I got there? I've got we've got support line along the first warning. We'll just see how it responds to this support line if it wants to kick back up above there. The other thing we can look at now as well, since we're near in that area, is I'll just put the larger pitchfork on, because we're now starting to get pretty close to that bottom tide now. But anyway, it's there anyway, so I'm starting to approach it, whether we make a big move down towards it or just meander along. But anyway, it's there. Anyway, that's a bit messy, so I'll get rid of that and go to trade guide, and I'll just zoom in on the more recent action from when's this May last year. I've got some levels here. Okay, we've got this big down bar on high. It's ultra high volume. It's a down bar, and smart money typically buy on down bars. Anyway, it's gone down. It's had a reaction. The next one gone up. So there was buying, hidden buying in the bar. And it's come back down again on high volume again, and then that's set us up for this last move up. But anyway, I've marked the close and the low of our ultra high volume bar here as levels, and as you can see, it's at the 4,480 roughly. You can see how that's acted as support on the last pivot. It's tried to support. What's that other line? That's the close. That's the low, the close, and the low. So it's actually at that level now where they were accumulating back in May. And we had that big flash crash there. The worrying thing is that we're right on that bottom now. You know, we've got a widespread bar, increased volume, closing right on on the low, right on that that line. So you know, there's no, it's not showing us that there's any, it's not putting any wick on there. There's no sign that they're buying that line yet. Well, obviously someone must be, because it's sort of trying to hold there, isn't it? But but any support line takes effort to break, and any resistance line takes effort to break. And that looks like increased volume right on the line. So that's putting pressure on that support. The one below that is the next really high volume bar after that, where it's had more buying. Buying was more evident coming in the bottom there. So I've marked the close of that bar, and that's at the 43.08. So that'll be the next one down. And I've got this down trend that's happening here, is still happening here from the last pivot, which looks like it's rejected that line. I'll have a look at the daily on that one, just to see what's happened this week. Okay, so we had this down, I haven't got it there, but we had a downtrend there that sort of broke sideways on. I've actually marked the high volume bars at our last real low back here, and you can see how that line there's resisted the price. They've rejected the price at that level. and then at the low of that bar, it hasn't been able to hold that, and it's now actually broken below our bar right at that low, that last pivot low there, which isn't a terribly good sign. But anyway, we'll zoom in on the last week or two. I actually connected the high to this pivot over here, and it's looks like it's rejected that trend line. So what we've had selling coming off as it's come to this bottom here in the last couple of weeks. That's some shortening of the thrust there, which means the closes are getting compressed and the bars are getting compressed. Even though the volume's pretty average, it's the range of the bar is compressed, so that tells you there's some possible buying coming in, and they're closing off well off their lows, you know, towards their highs. So there's some support coming in there, and that's set us up. We're going to move up. Then we've got this bar here, which is highish or average volume, but it's let's have another level. There's a high volume level there, so let's see what it's done there. There's a couple of high volume bars right there, but anyway, the spread is narrow, so that tells you it's closed off its high, so that's a weak bar coming off its because that suggests there's selling supply coming in to compress that bar. The next bar goes up, so that I think that was pushing through a resistance level, which was at your last pivot there. So that was okay. So that looked okay, but we're at this trend line coming down now. There's a little bit of selling in the top, and it's closed right on that trend line. And then on Monday, just gone, it rejects it. It takes out what's more. It takes out the low of that bar. So that's a 2-bar reversal. So was a definite sign of weakness, of things to come. And the real killer was this bar. It's gone up on less volume than the last two. You know, in the last 3 bars, it's the least volume, and that's a no demand. And that tells you the professional money are withdrawing from the market. They're not participating in this rise, and that trend line is not going to get broken on no demand. It needs volume to get through there. So you could have probably taken a short there. The next bar confirms by closing lower. Next bar always confirms our weak bars. Next bar confirms that is a no demand bar. So you could have gone short there. That would have been a very shortable trade, except that you would be very close to support beneath you. So, but anyway, it's actually taken out, and then it's just collapsed, hasn't it? It's taken out these last lows on increased volume. So there's been effort, looks like effort exerted to get through there down to our weekly support back there. So it's not looking that crash on. Now we've also just made a lower low now. So this is still trending down. You can't say anything more about that, can you? It looked like it was going sideways for a bit, but this is still trending down. What have we got there? That's a high volume bar there, sort of, where they tried to buy. That's where it's resisted. Yep, it's resisted on the low of that bar. So that's trending down still. So will it support there? We don't know. But there's the bars are especially on the weekly. That's a really weak bar. It's a widespread range, so there's been no resistance to this coming down here. They've just let it go. I think that's a result of professional money withdrawing from the market and just letting the supply take over. And we'll just have to see what happens this weekend with the Yanks and see how they can stuff things up more for us. Not that our government's doing too much of a better job, but anyway. Yeah, it's not much more we can say about that. It still hasn't broken really this downtrend. Okay, well, we'll have a look at the the All Ordinaries, And we'll have a look at the weekly first. I think that looks pretty much similar to the XJO. This is the XAO, the All Ordinaries. Let's see, we got, I'll pick first our high volume bar. Oh, we've got one way over here. How far back do I want to go? Looks like it's been ranging there, doesn't it? I might do the one from the last flash crash. Well, we've got the close there, so I'll put that in. 4506, and it's pretty much where it's dropped and stopped onto. So we've got widespread bar, again the same. Again, we have the same no demand bar. See how it's gone? It's bounced, gone up. That's a no demand bar there. Really light volume. This looks like, if I take this pivot here, that's a good one. That's probably our most relevant volume bar there. So if I put that on the close of that bar, it's come up and it's butt its head on no demand. So that's a shortable bar there because it's not going to get through there on no demand. Next bar confirms by cracking down badly on widespread. Next bar cracks up. Next bar down, and it's right on our, it's taken out the low of this bar, which at the moment, which is not good. We had some buying in this bar here, higher volume, closing off its low, and that sort of provided a bit of support there. That's actually supported right on this close back here. So it's just sort of poked its head below there. Now we've got another zone. Beneath that, possible support, 4479. So it doesn't look good because we've just poked our head below a new low now. So we can probably draw a trend line there, downtrending trend line there. So looks weak, doesn't it? But anyway, there's some support may come through in this area here because where we're getting all this clustering and all these. There's a few high volume bars there within that area, so that may provide some support, we would hope. And otherwise, the next one is, I'll take the close of this as the highest one after that. That's at the 4353, so that's, if it doesn't hold in there, then that's the next key level, 4328, around that level there. So we'll have a look. We might go in on the daily again, just see what's happened this week. And I've actually picked, it broke out of this trend line here and went sideways. Actually, if I draw that line there, again, I just notice, that pivot maybe. But it's broken out, come back, sort of tried to back test. And coming back to that line again. Anyway, maybe I'll just get rid of it because we don't need it right now. Oh. I've connected these last three pivots here, these last two pivots, and that's actually where it's bumped its head on. It's gone up there, but then on Monday, again, same as XJO, we've had the 2-bar reversal. It just collapsed. So the supply come in, it's rejected the line. And the thing about them, we have an example of Hagopian's rule playing out there, because that's a HR failure. It's pivoted just before the line. It hasn't quite made it to the trend line. Whenever you see that, especially if it pivots before there, that's usually a very bad sign. Normally that'll take out the last pivot, and that's what it's done in that case. So once that bar came in and took out the low of that one, and then Hagopian was not happy at all, and he's taken him down. He's taken out that last pivot. And again, we have, once we got the 2 bar reversal, we have the no demand bar come in. So smart money are withdrawing from the market, and you know then that pivots, it's not going to go. Well, then you know your Hagopian rule, your HR failure is pretty much consolidated because they're withdrawing from the market. That's a no demand. It goes down on less volume, but I think that's just a result of smart money withdrawing from the market, and then it's just collapsed. All the supplies come in. Last bar's closed weak on its low. So the support line back here, it's taken out. That support's coming from the weekly back over here, but it's taken out these last lows. So that is not looking too crash hot, is it? So we'll just have to see. So we got that trend line coming through there now, connecting these last lows. So we'll see if it pivots before there, then Hagopian's rule works both ways. So we'll just see if any strength comes in there and it misses that trend line come in. You know, if it pivots, because Hagopian's rule doesn't just work to the upside trend lines, it works to the support trend lines as well, as a rule. But you know, we'll just have to see what happens this weekend and what happens on Monday. But it's looking weak. We've busted a new low, so we've still got lower highs and look like we're making a higher low and going for a higher high. But this week it's just pivoted lower. So we've still got a lower. We've ended the week with a lower high and a lower low, and so if it's making a lower highs and lower lows, and it's in a downtrend, isn't it still? Okay, small ordinaries. They actually look weak, but not as bad as the XJO or the All Ordinaries. The small ordinaries are they're still holding a higher low at the moment. They've made a higher high this week, or held a higher high. They've still held a higher low yet. They haven't made a higher low yet. They made that higher low, so they're still holding that. So you'd have to say the small ordinaries are outperforming at the moment, doing better than the bigger guys. So that's something, but they're still weak bars. The other thing is we put in a little trend line from that. It's broken below that. So let's have a look. What else can I see? We'll pick our high volume bar over here. Put the low of that bar. It poked its head above there. I couldn't hold it. Mark the high of that bar. Wasn't strong enough to quite make it up there. Okay, so bar by bar we'll go there's this recent strong bar up. There's actually a little entry there where it's down, but that's a test bar on top of really low supply. Testing on top of a high volume area, low supply where previously there was high supply. That's confirmed by price going up on slightly more volume. And you could have taken a long there, taken up, and then narrow spread as it hits this last high, so supply coming in. Actually, you probably would have exited there because that's a no demand, trying to take out that pivot point. It can't do that, but it did. it didn't close lower, so that doesn't confirm our no demand. No demand is confirmed by a low close the next time, but it did go higher, but it didn't hold it. Went up, went down on less volume, which is not too bad. Went up again, went down on less volume, then gotcha, bang. It's taken out, it's taken out that last pivot there, so that was weak. Dropped on less volume, on more volume again, so closing on the low, so that's weak still, but it's still holding that last. It is a high, that's a bit of a high volume there as well, where it's pushed through. So it's so we'll just have to see what this week brings, I suppose. But it's broken that, you know, would have been nice to hold that trend line there, but it's broken below. There's just too much supply. Supplies come into the market, and I think they started exiting there, and it's just hasn't been able to go any higher. I think the Q was that bar there. Looked like they were starting to exit there. They're just not supporting the move up. It's just went up, but didn't go much further. Actually, we should really look at the weekly on this one just to see. There's a really high volume bar. There it is there, and that might give us a better picture actually what's going on. So we haven't reached that top of that bar yet, but we are holding at still at present the bottom. So you can see that where that's acted as support, it's come down, the closes are compressed on volume. Supplies come in, it looks like a bit of a shakeout before going back up, maybe, but anyways, demand's overcome supply. Back tested on lighter volume, broken, back tested on lighter volume before going higher, but it's broken down, even be it on, there's less selling pressure though than the previous, there's not a lot of selling pressure there, that's less selling pressure, that's the lowest volume in a long time. So they're not getting sold as hard. The small ordinaries haven't been sold as hard as the bigger guys. But they've let it, it's closed on its low and it's widespread, so they've let it go. So they've just let suppliers come into the market and they've just let it go. Smart money won't take market up if there's too much supply, if they think there's too much supply present. Because they don't want to have to absorb all that supply if they want to mark it up. They need new buyers from the herd coming in to take the price up for them after they've accumulated. Or if they are accumulating, they'll try and break the price back down as much as they can while they're accumulating. That just looks like that's low supply coming down. So it hasn't been sold off as hard, but they've just let it drop. So it's closed on its low, so it's not a particularly strong bar. And we've still got that support at 2556. Yeah, so again, the small ordinaries are still a bit better off than the bigger boys or the general market, it looks like, but still not looking that great. Anyway, that's me done.